Hello YouTube and welcome to another tutorial. So in this video I will show you how to use a very must-have tool for web development, which is Emmet. So are you ready? Let's get started. So actually Emmet is an essential tool for using with some web development tools or editors. So it's actually a plugin or extension that you can use with your favorite development editor. So here I'll be using Bracket, which is a very famous editor from Adobe, but also actually Emmet or this extension can be used with other editors like Atom, for example, from GitHub, or Notepad++ or Sublime text. Okay, so you can use it whatever editor you want. So here I will just show you how you can use it with actually brackets. Okay, so first thing first, you have to install this extension. So here in brackets you go to your extension manager, so you click on it, so you get this dialog box here, and in search menu, as you can see here, you have to type Emmet. Okay, so you can see here it's a high-speed HTML and CSS workflow. So here it's great because it's already installed. So if you want to install it, all you have to do is just to click on this button here and it will be installed. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so now that my plugin or extension is installed, I can use it. Okay, so as you can see here, I have a folder with just one page, HTML page called index.html. So how we can use actually this extension? So actually you type your abbreviation or shortcut and then the tab key and you get the result. So for example here I'm using HTML page. So if I want to get the HTML file structure, all I have to do is to type the exclamation sign, then the tab key on my keyboard. So if I tap exclamation sign, then the tab key, and voila, as you can see, the Emmet has created for me the default HTML file structure. So without the need to type in all this opening and closing HTML element tags. Okay, so as you can see, it's a high-speed development tool. So let's get rid of that. Let's say that I want just for one element to get the result. For example, if I want to type the section tags, opening and closing tag, all I have to do is to type section, then the tab key, and voila, I get the opening and closing tags automatically with Emmet. Okay, let's get rid of that. So let's say that you want actually to get an element with its class. So for example, I want the dev element but with a class name. So if you want to get that, you have to type the dev or HTML element dot and your class name. So for example, I want a class for the dev element called section1. Okay, then you type your tab key, and voila, you get the dev or the division HTML element with the class name of section1. So it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. So actually with the dev element, you don't need to type even div, you have to type just the dot. So if I type dot, then the class name, for example section1, and I hit the tab key, automatically I get the div element with the class name. Okay, so all that can be done using just Emmet. So let's say I want for my div element two classes, for example section1 and section2. I can do that. So I will type div dot, so the name of my first class, for example section1, then another dot for the second class. Let's call it section2. and I will hit tab key, and voila, I get my div element with two classes. So as I told you, with the div element you don't even to type div. So if I type dot section 1 dot section 2 and I type here my tab key, I get section 1 and section 2 classes for the div element. Okay. Another useful or actually typical example also for ordered or unordered lists. So if you want to get an unordered list with its lists, so all I have to do is to type UL element, then superior sign, then my list element. So if I tap also tab, I get actually an ordered list with just one list element. Okay, it's pretty easy. Let's say you want multiple lists. Here we go, UL, then the greater sign, then my list, and let's say I want to have 5 lists, so I will here use the multiplication sign, then 5, pretty easy. Then I type my tab key, and voila, I get 5 lists inside my unordered list. So it's always pretty easy to do that. Okay, so let's say that you have, for example, a div element with 2 elements inside it but at the same level. I can do that, so I will type div, and inside that div I will use the greater sign. I want, for example, h2 HTML element, but at the same level I want also a paragraph, so I will just add here the plus sign, then the p. Okay, so now if I type the tab key, as you can see here, I get h2 element and the paragraph element, and they are all at the same level. It's very important. Also, I can generate some lorem ipsum code. For example, I have a paragraph and I want inside it, for example, 10 words of lorem ipsum. So I can just type lorem, and here I will type how many words I want. So for example, let's say I want 100 words. So if I type the tab key, here we go, I have my paragraph and inside it exactly 100 words. So it's pretty useful trick that you can do with Emmet. So also, if you want to add some content to your elements, your HTML elements, you can use another trick. So let's see that we have h1 element and I want to add it some text or some content. So I will use here the curly bracket element, the curly braces. So I want up here my title, for example. So if I type here my tab key, I get my HTML or element, which is h1 in this case, with its content. Okay, so all what we have done here is just using this pretty easy and must-have tool called Emmet extension. So remember that you can use it in whatever editor you want. You can use it with Visual Code, for example. You can use it with Atom. You can use it with Sublime text, with Notepad++. All you have to do is to install it as a plugin or as an extension. Okay, so you can use all what you have learned here in order to fast write code in your web development projects. Okay, so that was just a brief introduction how to use this beautiful and must-have tool in web development. So as always, I hope it has been informative for you, and I want to thank you for viewing. Bye bye.